Five Nights at Freddy's is a weird series with a weird lore.
But if you look at the clues, we can figure it out.
Maybe. One of the things that FNAF theorists rely on is that the lore is solvable. Scott has commented on this frustration before, saying that he didn't put random Easter eggs into FNAF 4. That there's no gaps in the lore, there's only gaps in understanding. He doesn't retcon things willy-nilly, there's only been one retcon and he thinks it was pretty seamless. And okay, that's fine, I get it, there's a puzzle here and we can solve it. Except that it seems that there's a lot of things working against us besides the lore just being enigmatic. The main one, and the one I'm going to talk about, is that Scott seemingly lies. A lot. And no, I don't mean that Scott is lying in his Reddit posts or his Steam posts. I mean that Scott, the author of the games, is lying. FNAF 2. It's a sequel. New and improved Freddy Fazbear's better technology. Grand reopening. Actually, it's a prequel. It's a reopening of the location we've never seen before. New and improved technology from, but it's like sci-fi, so that's why they have this kind of good stuff in the 80s. So it's not using real-world technology and history and logic. It's about the bite of 87. You don't know this until you beat the game. The whole game's tricking you into thinking it's a sequel, but it's a prequel the whole time. FNAF 4. We play as a character whose name was a mystery for so long that we just started calling him the Crying Child. This is because all he does is cry. He wears a black shirt with stripes and hangs around the Freddy's restaurant. Everything in this game is screaming to us that he is the puppet, who's noticeable for his black and white stripes and tears. But no, the Crying Child is actually Golden Freddy. Also in FNAF 4, we have a kid who hangs around Freddy's, is seemingly related in some aspect to the things that are going on, and likes Foxy. You know who else is related to the things that's going on and likes Foxy? Phone Guy. Foxy bro is Phone Guy. Wait, he's Mike Schmidt? He's the guard? What? There's also a few times when the game tells you something that the fandom thinks is a lie, even if the games themselves don't necessarily confirm that they're false. For example, FNAF 3. The faulty wiring might cause a fire? No, the fans believe that Mike set the fire himself. So the implication in the game that the fire's an accident as a result of the wiring, that's a lie. YouTube tells me that most of my audience are returning viewers. Well, that would imply that they're all subscribed. But that's a lie, because 70% of you aren't subscribed. There's a bunch of new murders shown in Save Them, and Phone Guy seems to imply that there was a new crime done in this building, and the new toy animatronics appear haunted. That must mean that these new kids are haunting the new robots, except for most of the fandom seems to disagree with that. So that's a lie too, I guess. It seems that misdirection is part of the DNA of these games. So it was no wonder that when Sister Location came out and made everything way more complicated with plenty of voice acting and new characters, it was no wonder that these characters are actively trying to trick you. Baby is lying to you the entire game. And even if you might figure out that Baby is lying,
there's something very important that I've learned how to do over time. How to pretend.
The game is actually lying that it's Baby talking, it's actually entered using Baby to talk, it's a whole thing. The main character gets scooped at the end and then his eyes glow purple. This is Purple Guy, the killer. This was his origin story. Wait, it wasn't? It was Mike Schmidt from FNAF 1? It's actually possible that Scott saw the fan theory that we were playing as William in the game and that was unintended, which is why he wrote in Mike's speech to William at the end to say,
"They didn't recognize me at first, but then they thought I was you."
As a nod to the fans not understanding that Mike is Elizabeth's brother, and then thinking he was William, only to now, at the end, understand that,
"Father, it's me, Michael."
So now we understand. This speech was released in the Sister Location Custom Night DLC, and so Scott was able to make it knowing what the community thought of the base game of Sister Location. This DLC update is also where we get the scenes of Mike walking down the street. But wait, these scenes of Mike walking down the street, these are a lot weirder than people seem to think. Let's talk about them. After Sister Location came out, Scott released the Custom Night mode with a variety of challenges. Completing these challenges unlocked the Mike's Promenade cutscenes, as I call them, where he walks down the street from one location to another? Where is he going? Where is he coming from? We don't know. You would assume that because these play after you complete a challenge that he's leaving Sister Location and going home, but he seems to be walking down steps and he's in a residential neighborhood, so maybe he's leaving home to go grocery shopping? We genuinely don't know. But then as you continue beating these challenge modes, you realize that these scenes we're watching are actually a continuation of the canon ending of the base game. These aren't happening between custom night challenges, they're happening as an epilogue to the base game? We know this because Ennard is inside Mike, causing him to rot and bruise, and at the end he leaves his body. This is obviously a continuation of the ending where he gets scooped, the canon ending from the base game. So playing the bonus non-canon mode is giving you an epilogue to the real story? Now, Custom Night is not to be confused with Ennard Night. Ennard Night is the non-canon ending from the base game, which you can only get to if you disobey Baby and go right instead of left at the end of the game. In this mode, you fight off Ennard. In character, you would only do this if you knew Baby was lying, which you wouldn't know unless you did the canon ending of the game. So it's basically understood and agreed upon that this is not the real ending. And yet it's in this mode when Baby tells you you won't die if you let Ennard in.
You won't die, and it will only hurt for a moment.
And it's this "you won't die" line that gets repeated over and over in the Mike's promenade cutscene.
You won't die, 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 you won't die.
So the Mike's Promenade cutscene that you unlock by playing the non-canon DLC plays a line from the non-canon alternate ending of the base game. But this cutscene is considered to be a continuation of the canon ending? What? If something like this happened in the modern era of FNAF, I think there would be a war in the community between the "it's a direct continuation of the main story, of course it's canon," and the "it's unlocked in the non-canon mode, clearly depicting what Mike does after each non-canon level and uses voice lines from another non-canon mode, so it's clearly non-canon" people. And then I'd be over in the corner eating glue, calling it interpolistic and saying that nothing matters, annoying everyone. I think this is a great example of how the perfect puzzle doesn't exist. Right now we have Steel Wool, Mad Cat, Scholastic, Click Team, and whatever FNAF AR was, all covering different parts of the franchise, with Scott in there somewhere. And if two puzzle pieces don't fit together perfectly, some people will scream that they don't belong together, because who would design a puzzle like that? And some people will say that because none of the pieces fit together perfectly, that means the pieces that don't fit together at all can just kind of be fudged, and are meant to fit together actually. Of course it's not going to be perfect. None of the puzzles are perfect, therefore anything goes. And now nothing means anything at all. So what can we do about this? Nothing. Hey guys, thanks for watching. This is kind of a sequel to my video where I talk about the weird poster outside of the Pizza Sim location and the security puppet minigame. I'm probably going to keep making shorter videos like this where I just notice something and then rant about it. If you guys have ideas or thoughts, you can leave them in the comment section below and I'll probably respond to them in my weekly community update Q&A series. Why do you think Scott thought it made sense to have a non-canon mode lead to a canon cutscene that uses a voice line from another non-canon mode? Do you think maybe Mike's Promenade isn't canon at all? Do you agree with me that it's interpolistic, which is a word that I completely made up that means some sort of combination between interpretist and symbolic? Or do you think that we're just looking too far into things? But if we are looking too far into things, does that mean the story's simpler than we think? Well, it's clearly not, because Scott says that there's no random Easter eggs, but he also says that sometimes a story's just a story. And that's why this series is impossible. Once again, there's literally nothing we can do about this. The only thing we can do is try to make the community a better place by being nice to each other, supporting the creators we admire, and not letting our lives be dictated by the funny jump scare bear game. Don't lose sight of the things that are actually important to you. And remember that Freddy stands for friendly, respectful engagement, discussion, and discourse yield success. I will see you next time.